The Pounders. So I don't hate Amari Washington. They need linebacker for sure, though. If you're into CJ Allen, he'd definitely be next up. They might have a big guard need. All right, let's go cash this out.
I've seen this playbook from Trev 30,000 times in my life. Breaks down one position group for 10 minutes, takes a different position group in the next 20 seconds.
Because I think, okay, first of all, don't act like you know me.
You got David Bailey. You got Ruben Bain. I mean, you could make Arvell Reese an edge, but let me tell you about this little gem called Jadarian Price. He's the pick.
It's because I gotta soothe the listeners, and then they're like,
oh, okay, yeah, he's gonna pick this guy.
And then kind of lull them.
And I just yank the rug from underneath them. What's the
life alert?
I've fallen and I can't get up.
No.
I guess that was a bad guess.
You better have that button ready. Because here comes the rug. Welcome to the opening bell of the NFL Stock Exchange podcast. 3 minutes late. You'll never know why. Was I washing my hands? Was Connor eating an Uncrustable? Was I trying to acquire all the red chimichurri at Chipotle that exists on the planet? You guys will never know. You'll never know. But the important part is that we're here because we're talking tight ends here for the 2026 NFL Draft. It's another position ranking episode of the program. Connor, I'm very excited for this one because tight end is the position where beauty is in the eye of the beholder. There are so many different ways to play this position. There are so many things that you have to ask tight ends to do. Different offenses even want guys to do different things. That goes into strengths and weaknesses and physical abilities and athletic abilities. And it's going to be a deep, fun conversation with you. So how you doing, my friend? You ready for it?
I'm great, man. I am smiling ear to ear at that cold open. It really got me. I knew it was going to pop at some moment. And I hadn't seen the actual commercial for Life Alert in so long. I'd just seen the still image meme. That it's been a while. I just, God, the cook, man, he just never lets you down.
He's unbelievable. He's unbelievable. He's a Michelin star chef when it comes to producing this show. He really is.
Absolutely has his Michelin stars.
The addicts are already just at us for being 3-4 minutes late. They're keeping us in line like they always do. Tommy said, you guys mind pausing the show for 10 minutes? I got a work meeting and I don't want to miss anything.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yes, yeah, we'll pause the show. We'll just dilly-dally around. Also, Harbs in the chat, is DJ Lagway in this episode?
Wow.
You can't hurt me anymore. And you know what? Neither could DJ Lagway. So, you know what? He's not in this episode because he's not eligible in 2027. But if he goes to Florida State, you bet your butt that I'm going to rank him as a tight end going into next year's draft.
It's perfect. It's your ultimate revenge.
I know.
Your ultimate revenge. It is funny, revenge. Like, when someone said that when we were joking about it and how far we've come since. Oh, boy.
You know, you say it's funny. I don't really think it's funny.
It's probably not very funny for you.
I don't really personally
I feel like I say this as someone who's not a college football fan, as I've said many times on the show. I'm a huge fan of the sport, but I don't have a team. I feel like it's not a fun time for most college football fans.
Oh, God, no.
It's just like you wake up and you're like, our quarterback that we gave a massive NIL deal to Monday just left.
Oh, it's awful.
But unless you're an Indiana fan, because Cignetti just owns the transfer portal.
Right.
There's been a couple other teams really cleaning up, but if you're not a fan of like one of the real big dogs, your roster just gets rated immediately, and you're like, what am I watching anymore?
And even if you're a fan of the big dogs,
that happens to them.
Dude, Ohio State won the national championship last year. Half of their fans wanted him gone after he lost to Michigan before the college football playoff started, and they won the national championship. College football fandom is not for the faint of heart at all whatsoever.
I give them credit.
I couldn't recommend it any less, and I also couldn't recommend it any more.
Yeah, there is a thrill of the sport that is unmatched. That is absolutely right.
It's true. It really is true. We're here to talk about some of those players in college football. Here is we're talking about the 2026 tight end class. I've talked about this before. I've sort of changed the way that I evaluate the tight end position, like I do for a lot of other positions elsewhere. And it's not like I don't want to just lump all these tight ends in one spot. Now I have receiving tight ends. I have primarily blocking tight ends. And Connor, for this exercise, I even created for the first time another detailed position. I created a fullback / utility player position in my scouting sheets that I am now filling out, because there's two guys that I watched for this exercise where I was like, I don't not like you as a football player. I just don't think you can play tight end the way you need to at the NFL. I'd want you on my football team, but it's one of those where I would rather you just be sort of this utility backfield offensive player. So we'll get into a handful of those guys. We'll talk about and show you guys a lot of PFF data to go along with the things that we're talking about, the scouting notes, the film notes, all that great stuff. And today we are going to give you our top 8s for this position.
Before we start, do you want to shout out a couple of guys that won't be in our top 8s that just to kind of, get that off the top?
No, they don't deserve it. They didn't make it.
Yeah, screw them. You don't make the top 8, you don't get on the show.
No. That's totally fine. Yes, it sounds like you brought that up because something was heavy on your heart. You had some conviction here. What guy do you want to talk about here that just didn't make the list?
Well, there's a chance that they're in yours. Number 9 for me is Oscar Delp.
Not in mine.
Not in yours. You finally.
Yeah.
I feel like you've held on forever.
I know.
Yeah. Oscar Delp did not make my top 8.
Yeah.
Eventually kind of fall into the stop trying to make it happen.
If you love something, you got to let it go.
If you really do.
That's the phrase. But no, in all seriousness, it kind of is a little bit of what you just said there, where addicts will remember this. It wasn't this summer, right? It was the summer before.
Yeah, it was 2 summers ago.
It was 2 summers ago. I had Oscar Delp as tight end 2 in that class. And the reason why is because Brock Bowers had just left, and I thought he was going to be the next guy. He's
supposed to be.
He is a fantastic athlete, played both sides of the ball when he was in high school, played lacrosse when he was in high school, just a top-tier all-around athlete. Explosiveness, fluidity, flexibility, agility, good footwork, pretty well built for the position to be able to play on the line of scrimmage as an H-back, as a slot receiver. And I thought this was his time where they were really going to lean on him. And Connor, we've had 2 years now since then.
Yeah.
They don't throw him the ball. They don't want to throw him the ball. And you can understand why. Really good separation scores for him because he's a good athlete, but he's just not really natural in the passing game. And I think that if you don't bring at least a baseline value to the passing game, I don't think you're going to get drafted above the 4th round. So he's outside of my list.
I had him tight end 9 over the summer, and it's kind of funny he lands here, what would be a tight end 9 spot, but a lot of the players have changed or moved around in front of him. A guy that I liked over summer and didn't really have a huge year, Joe Royer on Cincinnati.
I have Joe Royer just outside of my top 8 as well.
Same, just outside looking in. We talked a lot about him over the summer.
Shoot, he's the opposite of Delp. You need a receiver? He's a great receiver. His entire thing is Cincinnati built a lot of their passing offense around him. He could, same thing, line up in the slot, line up as an X receiver, line up as a wing back off the line of scrimmage. He was somebody that you could use as a pre-snap motion player. He's got fantastic hands, always attacking the ball in the air.
Yeah.
He's just got a playmaker's mentality after he catches the football. Because that's another thing with tight ends that we'll talk about here on the show is sometimes even if you have good athletes at tight end, they'll catch the football and they'll just go up the field. Doesn't matter. I'm running into somebody. Don't care. I'm just running up the field immediately. And then you get some of those guys that sort of turn into those playmakers where they go, okay, let me make you miss. Let me wait for this block to develop. Let me, go inside or out, whatever. So if you need a pure receiver tight end, Joe Royer is somebody who I could understand you being really in on.
Yeah, I just didn't think the blocking took the steps it needed to be in the top 8.
Nope.
On the opposite end, a player I love, I just didn't have him in the top 8. He'll be a day 3 darling of mine. He was a stock up guy for me. Cody Hardy, the other tight end on NC State.
Oh, I didn't watch him.
He's Jackson Hawes, right? It's just,
hell yeah.
It's basically cool, I have a 6th offensive lineman, but he's a great watch. I think he might be the best blocking tight end in this entire draft. Just such little receiving production. But I think he's going to be able to hang around the league for quite a while as that tight end 2, tight end 3 road grader. I'm a really big fan of this player.
So I didn't watch him, and I also didn't watch the other tight end at Oregon, because even though he's draft eligible, I think he's a redshirt sophomore. I'm like, no. I don't think he's going to declare.
I don't think so either. I think he'll just be the guy next year.
Right. That's kind of what I thought. So those guys were outside of your top 10, right? All those guys?
Yeah, quite a few. Tanner Koziel.
He is also outside of my top 10.
Okay.
Yes.
The jump ball specialist.
Yes, LLC, long-limbed, or whatever it was, long-limbed catcher or something. I mean, the dude's 6'6", 6'7", and Chad, go ahead and say the line. Sounds like Mike Evans, because he kind of, in that regard,
Mike Evans,
like he is, you know what I'm saying? Like he's just like this contested catch dude. That's what everybody thinks that Mike Evans is. So
the chat's gonna do it.
I just wanted the chat to say the line again. If you need, now the reason why he's not in my top 10 is because he's really difficult to place. I obviously have him as a receiving tight end. He doesn't really carry the weight profile and the strength profile to be able to be an inline blocker for you.
No, this
is somebody who, if you try to play him like a traditional tight end, I think you're going to be disappointed. There's going to be a lot more. There's going to be a lot of good and bad, but there's going to be a mix of it. And you're probably going to find somebody who you could get on the field who gives you a little bit more of a regular return on investment.
Yeah.
If you just play him as a big slot, if you just do the Oronde Gadsden thing, he might be great for you. Like I did not like Oronde Gadsden last year. Like I gave him a 6th, 7th round grade. I was like, this player is so streamlined.
Well, I don't like that player. Like you just said, I have to put Tanner Koziel in the slot. I probably have a better slot receiver option.
Again, it depends what kind of receiver that you want, but I understand what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
I don't disagree with what you're saying. Yes.
So he was on the outside looking in. It was a couple guys. Another guy that really, to me, was all receiving. And this is the Keon Coleman, my 5 plays are better than anybody else in the draft YouTube specialist, Michael Trigg.
I was wondering if you would have Trigg in the top 8.
No.
And I don't.
No. It's the Keon Coleman Award. Like, Michael Trigg will have the sickest highlight tape when he's drafted.
Yes.
Because Michael Trigg had D1 offers to play basketball.
He did.
Yes. Okay. I want to make sure I had that right.
Yes.
And it's when you watch him, you're like, oh, yeah, I bet he did. Like, there are plays he makes above the rim or with one hand that are out of this world. But this is tight end rankings. And he's just very far at the moment. And he's not a young prospect. This was his 5th year in 3rd school of being a actual tight end.
There are moments on tape where, like, he's David Njoku.
Oh, it's insanity.
You know, some of the contested catch and spectacular catches that he has, basically everywhere on the field. And the sideline, the red zone, over the middle. His best 5 plays, you're right, probably stack up with any tight end in this class. To be honest with you, if you went best 5 for 5, he'd probably be number 1 in this rankings.
He's got him.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there are way too many frustrating drops. I feel like there are way too many times where he's the first one walking in a play. There are too many times where he's just the way that this guy, how competitive he is at the catch point when he wants to show somebody that he could beat him one-on-one. If you gave me that Michael Trigg all the time,
right,
he's probably tight end 2, even with some of his inconsistencies behind. I won't spoil it. I won't spoil it for the people that need to watch the whole episode. We got to get the view time up for the episode. But I was so curious as to whether or not he was going to be in your top 8, because I think he's going to be in a lot of people's top 8.
I think so too, because
of his ceiling, and he's one of those prospects where I go, without getting to know him personally from that side of the scouting that NFL teams will do, I'd probably just let somebody else draft him and be okay with him making some highlight plays for other teams, but maybe he also might have a quick burnout as well. I just don't know with him from what I watched.
Yeah, it didn't make my top 8. Joshua Cuevas did not make my top 8.
I have him at 8.
You have him at 8. And he was basically right there. Like him, Delp, and Royer, I had all together.
Okay.
So we'll talk about him when you go at 8. Mm-hmm. He has a Senior Bowl invite, had a really good year. transferred up big time Cal Poly to Alabama. So we'll get to Cuevas. Marlin Klein didn't make my top 8.
Marlin Klein's in my top 8.
Okay, so we'll get to him.
Yep. Did you have Miles Kitselman in your top 8?
No, I didn't get to. I watched about 15 tight ends. I didn't get to him.
Hey, he's just beefy, man. I mean, he's just built like an NFL tight end. I mean, he's like 6'5", 255, 260 pounds, something like that. He's more of the blocking type, but he's the blocking type that you're not afraid to leave on backside defensive ends, where he's got the strength to be able to do it. And he's also straight line vertically, pretty decent athlete. He's just not going to give you a ton as a receiver. And so I think just lack of the savviness that he has as a receiver, it's pretty one-dimensional what he would be as a receiver. So I like his size overall as a blocker. Do you have Eli Rariden in your top 8 from Notre Dame?
Oh, yeah.
You do?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right. He just missed my list. Just missed the list, though. But I do like Eli Rariden a decent amount. So we'll talk about him.
Yep. We'll get to him. One more. What do you got?
I mean, last one is Jake Gyllenhaal.
That's where I knew. That's where you're going. Yeah. I was looking for the joke.
John Michael Gillenborg.
Yeah, Jake Gyllenborg didn't make my top 8. He's got a Senior Bowl invite.
He does. So I am excited to watch him because when we watched him over summer, I didn't like him a ton. I was like, I feel like he's really. I feel like he's just way too one-dimensional.
I had him tight end 8 over summer.
Yeah, I was just like, I just feel like he's a little too one-dimensional here. I feel like he doesn't have what he needs to in the strength game. And then I watched him again from this year, and funny enough, his numbers weren't as good as this year as they were last year. But I actually could appreciate who he was as a receiver, and that just really being able to stand out and leaning into that at the NFL level. So he did not make my top 8, but I gave him like an early day 3 round grade, and I could see a team really being in on his athletic potential, and I'm excited to see him down in Mobile at the Senior Bowl.
Most of these guys we've discussed
John Michael Gabagool.
That's really good. John Michael Gillen Pounder.
Gillen Pounder.
John Michael Demogorgon.
No, it's John Pounder Gillenborg. That's what it is. That was the easy one. Or Pound Michael Gillenborg. One of those two. I think I like that one better.
Senior Bowl will be really helpful because it feels like a ton of guys I have right on the outside of our rankings today, but looking in are accepted invites.
All right, number 8. Well, actually, 8 through 4.
Yep.
Who you got?
Okay. 8 through 4. 8, Carson Ryan from BYU.
Okay, so this is one of the players that I watched.
Okay.
Who I think is a utility player.
Interesting. Okay,
yeah.
We'll talk about him.
Yep.
Eli Stowers, who I feel like we've talked about constantly on this podcast from Vanderbilt. And he's the one I'm fascinated at how you view him because he's my guy where I'm like, he's good at a lot of things, but the way I like tight ends are typically not in the form of his play style.
Sure.
But he's just such a interesting athlete and receiver at the position. We'll get to the full Stowers breakdown again. Dae'Quan Wright from Ole Miss. I know a lot of people listening are probably thinking of the tough moments he had in the last college football playoff game, but Dae'Quan Wright had a hell of a season, and he is really, really big. I love that you brought up a couple minutes ago, like not everybody's blocking assignments are the same. There are guys that get high blocking grades and you watch them and they're basically on the move blocking slot corners. Then there's Dae'Quan Wright, who's asked constantly to block defensive ends and outside linebackers.
And he's got a dense, strong build to him too. So he can do it.
Justin Joly, Big Christmas.
There
Number
we go,
5
baby.
in NC State, a dynamic pass catcher.
Love it.
Dynamic. 4, Sam Roush.
Oh, you got Sam Roush at 4.
From Stanford. Sam Roush is a baller. Sam Roush needs to start getting some love in this class.
Oh, he'll get it. He'll get it from both of us. He'll get it from both of us here.
Sam Roush is an absolute baller.
Okay.
So, do you want to go and then we'll break them down?
I think that's what we're supposed to do. If I remember correctly from
it's our first show, so like we're still kind of getting we're still kind of getting the hang of how this works.
Number 8 for me is Josh Cuevas, the
is.
tight end from Alabama. Was at Washington with Kalen DeBoer, and then he transferred over to Alabama when Kalen DeBoer went over to Alabama. Not a heavily used player, basically throughout his entire college career, except for the second half of this year. And then I liked what I saw. He's a little undersized, but we'll talk a little bit more about him. 7 is where I have Sam Roush. So I'm with you. The top 8 tight end in this class. Yeah. I can understand why you're even a little bit higher on him. I'll talk about some of my viewed limitations for him, but I'm glad that we get to have a bigger conversation. Marlin Klein from Michigan, from Germany, somebody who hasn't been playing football super long, but holy smokes, the athletic potential of this guy. With
big upside,
with and without the ball. I mean, to take into account how little football he has played in his life and where he is right now in Michigan, I'm a fan. This is a draft and develop type of a dude who I think could be a stud for you. Number 5, you love when a plan comes in. Justin Joly as well from NC State. And then 4, I have Eli Stowers. Just such a premium athlete. And we'll obviously get to chat about him because you got him at 7 and I got him at 4. I think we should start with Sam Roush though. I think that's the intriguing player here. He's probably a name that a lot of people in the chat have not heard a lot of. So you guys can see some of the PFF stats and the numbers that we have there on the screen from Sam Roush, who was at Stanford all 4 years. If I remember correctly, he was a rotational guy his true freshman year, and then he has been a starter for each of the last 3 seasons. 6'5", about 255, 260 pounds from him, true senior. Connor, talk to me about him because you got him at number 4, and then I got him at number 7.
Yeah, big fella. You love to see 6'5", 260 pounds because these guys are gonna or should be asked to play in the trenches at the NFL level, and it's because it's one of the reasons this position can be very, very difficult to project going forward, or why there's a pretty significant bust rate sometimes with the earlier picks. And you see guys that go outside of round 1 turn into stars because they're not appreciated enough on what they do on the line of scrimmage, like Tucker Kraft and George Kittle, to name a couple over the years. When you look at Roush, man, 49 catches this year, really productive season. He had 83 targets, so he was a focal point in their pass game. He's just an underneath safety blanket because I think he gets off the ball pretty quickly for that size, and he knows how to use his size underneath to his advantage, to shield, to attack zone. As you see the higher receiving grade against zone, that doesn't surprise me. The 95th percentile separation percentage. I mean, once again, like he can move at his size laterally, and that really stood out to me. When you watch him after the catch, he rumbles. It's freight train time with Sam Roush. I mean, after the catch, when he has any kind of room and he gets moving, he can absolutely plow through the defense and get upfield in a hurry and not really overthink things. He's played over 1,000 snaps in line over the last 2 seasons.
He played the most snaps of any player on Stanford's offense over a 2-year sample size.
Yeah, this is an Iron Man, and this is someone that, unlike most of these college tight ends, that you'll see them play more in the slot, and they'll play out wide, and they'll play H-back. Sam Roush plays on the line of scrimmage all day.
You just called him soft. Get after their ass.
Yeah. Sam Roush, he's tougher than all of you. So, yeah, I mean, once again, like this guy plays tight end in college, how tight end is often asked to be played at the NFL level. And then I see a high effort inline run blocker. The hands are very active. It's clear like blocking to him is just as, if not more important than catching the ball. There's a high effort. He's got the body type to get even better at it. I think a couple of things for me, notably with the blocking, it's still a work in progress on how to sustain blocks longer. Mm-hmm. And I think that's because his hands are so active. His hand placement actually gets a little wild sometimes. He'll misfire or he'll kind of overshoot. He'll go to kill you, and he'll kind of fire his body with his hands and he'll miss. And then you look at the drop rate, 10.7% drop rate this year. That's pretty high.
Yeah.
21st percentile. It's not concentration issues. It's adjustment issues. Mm-hmm. Bigger body player. It's not like when you watch Justin Joly and Eli Stowers where they look like receivers adjusting to the ball.
Right.
It's I have a bigger body. It's a little less comfortable and flexible to adjust to the ball. So I don't think he has bad hands. I just think he's not the natural pass catcher that a lot of the guys we're going to talk about today can look like sometimes.
Jeremy in the chat says Sam Roush is the Trevor Sikkema of Tucker Crafts. Maybe.
Could be.
I mean, the Trevor Sikkema part of that is a massive anchor weighing down whatever Tucker Craft is. So perhaps that is the case. Before I talk about what I think of Sam Roush, did you look up his family background?
No.
This guy makes...
Wait. I think I did. Go on.
I mean,
this is starting to ring a bell.
He might have the greatest case of football nepotism I've ever seen. And I mean that as a high compliment, just because of the football DNA that he has here. Okay, you ready for this?
Yes.
Father played football at Duke. Mother played volleyball at Montana State. Maternal grandfather played football at Utah State and in the NFL with the Rams, the Broncos, and the Bills.
That was the one I knew. I knew he had NFL bloodlines with the grandfather.
No, how about this one? Maternal great uncle, Pro Football Hall of Famer Merlin Olsen.
I don't think I knew that.
Other maternal great uncle, former BYU and Kansas City Chief player Orrin Olsen. Paternal grandfather played at Ohio. Paternal uncle, Mark Roush, played football at Northwestern. His mother's cousin, Nathan Olsen, played football at Stanford. His paternal great-grandfather played baseball for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, Sam Roush is going to play in the NFL for a while.
Yeah, I mean, this guy didn't have a choice.
It's pretty easy formula, folks.
That's insane.
Bump him up your rankings.
That's crazy. When I read that, I kept scrolling the list. And I was like, this keeps going?
Imagine being in the family and you don't play football.
Oh, my goodness. I don't even know if he has any brothers or sisters, but if he does,
what do you do?
And they didn't make it to the league, you almost got to cast them out at that point.
Yeah, you probably don't get invited to every holiday, just the big ones.
Also, how about this? He played rugby growing up.
Tight ends often do.
To go on with the Iron Man thing, he played tight end, and I can't remember if it was linebacker or defensive end in high school. He actually won the conference defensive player of the year. And this guy was a tight end recruit. So,
Colin in the chat said, Sam Roush better be thanking God in the post-game interviews. Yeah, this is warranted. I'd like to start off thanking God because everybody in my family plays near professional football.
I think he is a really good football player. I echo a lot of the things that you said. I think the difference of him at 4 on your rankings and 7 on mine is you believe in him more as a receiver than I do. When I watched some of the struggles from him this year as a receiver, I went, I don't know if you're supernatural as a receiver. Now, can you be a primarily blocking type of tight end that I could dump the ball off to and feel good about it? Yes, I think that could be the case. But a lot of his stuff, and you see it from the lower average depth of target there from him, are those speed outs, just those, shallow crossers over the middle, those drag routes, things like that. Really wasn't asked to run a ton of routes deep down the field. And when he was, like you mentioned, some of those adjustment situations he struggled with. And he had some issues just getting his body where he needed to, also hauling in the passes. And so I think it just comes down to you believe in him a little bit more from the receiving part of it. But I think that we see this football player pretty similarly. And this is a dude who's tough as nails. Obviously, all jokes aside, has a lot of football in his DNA. He is somebody who clearly has had very close role models on exactly what it takes to be a pro and get to this level. And so I think that he's got the game that reflects that.
Yeah, man. I think you're going to hear a lot more about Sam Roush with the months going forward because it's been quiet, and that's, it's fun when you get into the tape. And admittedly, I didn't see enough of Stanford this year until I watched prospect tape, and he popped for me for sure.
Pretty sure Stanford was pretty bad. So
yeah, I know it was a tougher year for them. Besides Andrew Luck with some pretty cool sideline moments.
Right, that is true. You want me to hit on Josh Cuevas really quick?
Yes.
Okay, so Josh Cuevas, he's a redshirt senior. Played at Alabama, like I said. He was at Washington. Wait, wasn't he somewhere before Washington? He was. He was at Cal Poly before he was at Washington. Played at Cal Poly for 2 years. That's when he was actually utilized the most as a receiver. And then transfers over to Washington, then transfers over to Alabama, where he wasn't used a ton. This is a zero-star tight end recruit, and so that's why he starts his career at Cal Poly. He played wide receiver and linebacker when he was in high school. He also played basketball, played baseball. Everybody knows that I'm always going to call out those multi-sport guys because I think that it means a lot to who you are as a natural athlete. And I do think that Josh Cuevas is a natural athlete. So he's 6'3", 255 pounds. You can tell that he loses just the overall size and length battle just because he is right around 6'3", which is 15th percentile for the tight end spot. But I think that there's just so much more to like about his game than to not. I don't think that he's going to be the most dominant blocker for you, but I think that he gives you some good pound for pounder strength if he ends up getting drafted by the Carolina Panthers. But you see some of the separation percentiles there from him. I think they're really good. He knows how to get up the field really quickly out of his stance, up the field. I think that despite not having the longest strides, man, I feel like he covers a ton of ground once he really starts to get moving. He's got some good yards after catch ability. You see that contested catch stuff right there, 62.5%. That's 89th percentile when it comes to contested catches. I think he is a well-coordinated football player. I think he's a high IQ football player, and I think he's very dialed into a lot of the details. So he's not a big make-you-miss after the catch type of a guy. He's not going to be an imposing blocker against defensive end. He's going to be more of a guy who kind of survives those situations. But as more of a bigger slot type of a player, a wing back, you could put him on the line of scrimmage, and I think he can really learn how to, he knows how to use his leverage and angle guys to be an effective blocker, even if guys outweigh him a good amount. I just felt as though just great all-around game from him. This is somebody who I think is a fringe top 100 type of a guy, most likely probably an early day 3 player, but a football player who I just think understands how to win at the position in a variety of different alignments. And so we're going to talk about guys who are a little bit more physically gifted than him, but just such a solid football player that I saw in Josh Cuevas.
Well-rounded is the perfect way to put it. He could just do a little bit of everything for you, and maybe I undervalued that, where he just is on the outside of my top 8 looking in, hoping for some of the guys with some bigger traits to pop. And he's somebody I have circled for Senior Bowl watching like pretty intently.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see him in that environment because I'm wondering if he gets just because he was not utilized a lot as a receiver. When he was at Washington or when he was at Alabama, like I said,
right,
until the second half of the season, where at the beginning of the year, Bama was like, okay, we're gonna be good at running the football. We've got Jeremy Bernard, we've got Ryan Williams. We're gonna lean into those guys. And then halfway through the year, I think Alabama was like, oh no, we suck at running. Ryan Williams can't catch now. We basically just have Jeremy Bernard. And so that's when Cuevas started to get involved a little bit more in the offense. And I think he gave them some pretty good return on investment there.
All right, so Carson Ryan.
Yeah, talk to me about him.
Yeah, so tight end 8 for me. One of the last players I actually watched. Huge year for BYU. He was at UCLA and then Utah before finishing his college career at BYU. You said you kind of highlighted him as a utility player. It's definitely an interesting way to frame it, and I don't think you're off at all there. He had 46 catches for over 600 yards this year. You see the big time receiving grade against zone. This was somebody that not only knew how to attack the open space in zone, but you look at what he can do with the ball in his hands when he has room once again. To me, he was someone that, like, you just watch him plow through defenders after the catch, or he'll carry him, tough runner after the catch, generates momentum. Former 4-star recruit, by the way. So this isn't like he's a late breakout because this was his 3rd school, but he was the number 3 tight end in his class coming out of the state of Utah. Love the 93rd percentile separation percentage and the 85th percentile yards per route run in 2025. Like I said, this was a big breakout year for him. Where I might like him a little more than you, because you called him a utility player. Mm-hmm. I think some of the inline stuff is like really going in the right direction. Like, he drives his legs. He's a high effort. He's has average size. He's, yeah, I had him from summer 6'3" and 5/8", 253.
Yeah. Okay.
Which isn't small, but it's, if you're going to play on the line of scrimmage, like we just talked about Sam Roush, who's 260.
What opened up the idea for me for him being a utility player instead of a tight end is You know what I actually think his biggest deficiency is? Because I actually agree with you on everything that you said there. He's competitive. He's got some good leverage. He'll give you some better reps than you're probably expecting for a player who's built the way that he is, who can move the way that he is. I think he's got really short arms.
I probably have that for you. Let me look it up.
Because
I think you're right, too. A lot of guys, you know what's weird? Like, a lot of these tight ends do, where I was like,
when I was watching him, the way that I watched him consistently lose on the line of scrimmage wasn't really a lack of strength. It was the fact that these guys would either be able to sort of, break his grip using length and leverage, or they were able to get him on his heels. So he would engage, he would get the pop, he would get the arm, he would get the hands up and into the chest of some of these defensive linemen. But if they can just extend their arms and put him on his heels, well, then all of a sudden they have the full advantage there. And there were so many times that I saw that where I was like, oh, I think you have short arms.
31 and a quarter.
Yeah, so that would...
Well, like, back to my point about the class, Cuevas, 31.
Yes, but Cuevas is 6'3", so his arms kind of look proportional to the way that you would expect him to win. And when he wins as a blocker, he's not winning with like pound for pound strength. He's winning with leverage. And if he doesn't, yes, sure. I think that the lack of length definitely shows up. But I remember seeing that, and I remember just seeing that on tape, and I was like, I like you out of the backfield more than I do just saying, okay, are you a receiving tight end? Am I going to play in the slot? I like him the most out of the backfield, but I don't want him on the line of scrimmage, because I just think that if he's losing the length battle now, it's only going to get worse when he gets to the NFL level. So there's a ton of stuff that I think I agree with you totally on basically everything. I just saw that lack of arm length as a limitation to him being called and labeled a tight end. And I actually just like, hey, let's get him out of the backfield. Play as a fullback. Play as a wingback. When you're blocking, be a lead blocker instead of having to block against defensive ends. And that way he can use his quickness out of the backfield. And he's actually got some decent cuts in his route for like Texas routes and like choice routes and things like that. So that's where I saw him. I didn't have him ranked for tight ends, but I ended up ranking him as a utility player.
Yep, I thought the long speed was mediocre. Like you said, more burst and agility than long speed. The pretty low ADOT. It's really all underneath stuff. The contested catch number there, though, was something I did deep dive, because I was like, dang, how is he so bad, unproductive in contested catch situations? You watch, like, I think it was 9 of them, and I think he caught 2 of them. I mean, nobody was catching these contested catch. Like, one of them, the quarterback, it's the worst hospital ball I've ever seen. I can't believe he gets off the field. He gets his head decapitated, and the ball's nowhere near him. And then some other ones were just... But once again, that goes back to the long speed, where I wish he was running away from those guys rather than being blanketed and thrown the ball.
Yeah.
So, and the arm length probably plays into the low contested catch rate as well. So, yeah, Carson Ryan, really nice late breakout, and definitely a draftable prospect in this draft that wasn't on the radar much at all coming into the year. So good for him after being a pretty big recruit once upon a time.
People are saying Taysom Hill 2.0. Again, I'm always wary of comping people to Taysom Hill just because Taysom Hill was like stupid athletic.
Yeah, Taysom Hill is right. It's like we make jokes about him, but he also isn't appreciated enough.
Yeah.
Especially how long he did it. Isn't Taysom Hill now like 35 years old?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy.
He is the only player in NFL history to have 1,000 passing yards, 1,000 rushing yards, and 1,000 receiving yards. Kind of crazy. Who are we doing next? Who's next on the list?
Well, we had a lot of similar ones. Let's go back to the rankings here and see. I can go through Dae'Quan Wright.
Oh, yeah. Let's do Dae'Quan Wright next.
Okay, Dae'Quan Wright, who is not in your top 8, right?
No, he was outside of my top 8.
So Dae'Quan Wright for Ole Miss, transferred from Virginia Tech. I've talked about him on a stock up, but this year he's got 36 catches for 571 yards, which is just like, this guy's had some a lot of explosive plays for the position. A lot of explosive plays. The 95th percentile separation percentage is all. He can really run he looks bigger than 255.
He really does look bigger than 255.
He looks almost like 265, 270.
I would agree. Yes.
This is a large player that can gallop. That's where I watch him and I'm like, whoa. I'm like, this guy can really run for how big he is. He played over 400 snaps in line for them this year. I know his run blocking grades didn't really pop, but you watch the tape and not only were his assignments just absurd, he does a pretty good job for the most part. Like he's not going to go out there and be Cody Hardy and just run through people left and right, but he can give you enough to sustain his blocks on real defensive ends. He is kind of an analytics darling. When you look at the 87th percentile separation percent, well, this is the last 2 years, but just this year, 87th percentile separation percentage, 81st percentile yards per route run, which, once again, like 99th percentile yards after catch per reception. He just has these galloping strides that guys took bad angles to him and let him cut to the sideline and have these huge chunk gains. Now, despite the size and the raw strength, the blocking consistency is still a work in progress. It's weird because he's big, wide, and he's pretty strong, but there's enough reps on there where he tries to just take people out with his shoulder on the move. When he's just in line, like he understands the assignment. But when they get him moving and he has momentum, he's like, oh, I'm just going to plow through this guy. And it's like, no, just say the technique you showed in line. And so I think, coaching will get him there. I'm a big believer in his projection. Like Sam Roush, though, I thought the adjustments to the football were a little bit below average. And there's a theme. Like these are big tight ends, definitely 260 plus pounds. The adjustments aren't the same as guys that are 240. And then you have to question the football IQ. I mean, the big moment was not getting out of bounds before the half against Georgia last week. And like you got to know these things. That's a very elementary level mistake. So, that's going to come up throughout his scouting, but I project this guy forward in a pretty big way.
I can see why you would be in on him. I think that he has a lot of just athletic potential overall from what you mentioned with him being listed at 6'4", 255 pounds. I mean, he looks bigger than that. He looks like he's 265, 270. The athletic background, he played wide receiver, but he also played quarterback in high school just to be the guy who touched the ball at all times. He also ran track. I don't know what he weighed when he was in high school, but had an 11.14 100-meter dash. And then in basketball, you want to talk about guys who had good high school basketball numbers. He averaged, as a senior, 16.4 points, 8.8 rebounds, 3.5 assists, and 2.3 steals per game. So
yeah, this is real. It's a big athlete.
Legit basketball player. He's a big athlete, and I think what you said there at the end is why he's not in my top 8. I just think there's inconsistencies all around with him.
Without a doubt.
I don't know how much more consistent they get. Potential, absolutely there for him. But in year 4, he's a senior. He's played a good amount of ball now. We've still got these inconsistencies as a blocker. We've still got some inconsistencies as a receiver. I didn't love the contested catch percentage from him despite being like a bigger tight end. But he'll be able to give you some flashes. I mean, he's absolutely like getting drafted. And he's absolutely somebody who's going to get the chance to work into some sort of a rotation early on in his NFL career. I don't think he's going to get drafted super high, but the potential is there for him. I think he'll be like 20. How old will he be? He'll be 23, he'll be 23 in his rookie season because I got his birthday here. Is
September 21.
September 21, yeah. So
22 on draft night and through training camps.
Yeah,
that's pretty standard.
Yeah, that's not it's not a thing where you're like looking at his age and you're thinking that he's super old. So 23 is totally fine.
I'm excited to talk. I'm going to request him. He'll be at the top of my list to request for Combine. There's a lot of this is a player I'd really like to pick his brain.
Oh, sure.
And see where he's at.
Yeah, because you get to sit down with a bunch of these dudes.
Yeah, you're not guaranteed everyone, but yeah, I would, because the physical aspects are extremely promising with Dae'Quan Wright.
Who do I talk about next? Oh, Marlin Klein from Michigan.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about Marlin Klein here. So I had Marlin Klein.
Marlin incline dumbbell presses. You like that?
I see what you did there. I do see what you did there. I have him tight end 6.
Marlin Klein. Barbell bench.
I'm moving on from you. He is a 3-star tight end who is originally from Germany. Started playing soccer and basketball before trying football. Played football in Germany as a freshman and a sophomore before he transferred to a boarding school in Georgia to play high school football. So he's only played football now for 6 total years. Got to Michigan, redshirted his first season, as you would probably expect. Played in 10 games in 2023, started 6 games the following year, and then he was able to start this past year with Colston Loveland now off to the NFL. He was number 35 this year on Bruce Feldman's freak list, and the excerpt from that article was the 6'6", 250-pound junior who has. Oh yeah, I forgot he is. He's just a redshirt junior. Yeah, he's not an official senior. Oh yeah,
Michigan is what. Not to interrupt you, but Michigan's waiting on some key guys right now, right? It sounds like, did he declare officially?
Yes.
He did. Okay. Because I know they have a couple key guys that they are like, it's going to come down to the wire. They're trying to keep.
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
6'6", 250-pound junior. He's hit over 21 miles an hour when he was in practice. Broad jumped 9'7". This offseason, so this is the article that was written this summer. This offseason, Klein ran a 6.89 in the 3-cone drill. His former teammate Colston Loveland did it in 6.94, so faster than Colston Loveland. And no tight end at last year's combine did it any quicker than that. He also has a 4.25 short shuttle time, which would have been the fastest by any tight end at the combine. You see that athletic potential. When they actually allow him to just run down the field and be a receiver and a route runner, you absolutely see that from him. He is extremely impressive, so much athletic potential. You don't quite see it yet, like put all together, like he's okay using that flexibility, that change of direction, that long speed as a route runner quite yet, but you see moments of it. And I think that's worth buying into, especially because I think this dude is also super strong. I just think he is physically gifted. Pound for pound, he is such a strong player. Great grip strength. Good footwork. I mean, the way that he can lock on to players who outweigh him by 20, 30, 40 pounds, and they are trying to, stack and shed, yank him off of him, and he is just holding on, and his feet still are able to mirror what they're doing. He's able to hold on with really good hand placement and good grip strength. So much of that is there for him, where if you tell me that over the next 2 years, we're still putting good weight on him, we're still letting him get even stronger, and we're getting him with a really good receiving tight end coach or just wide receiver coach when he gets to the NFL, this dude's got a lot of potential. I don't know if he's ever going to be a tight end 1 for you. If I thought he was going to be a tight end 1, I'd have him higher. But as like a tight end 2 type of a player, boy, this is high effort as well. Like, this is the kind of guy that you draft and you develop because you might find a gem when you get into heavy personnel stuff.
Yeah, I talked about him on a stock up, and there's just a lot of promise there. And what makes you buy in is what you said, that he's on the upward trajectory of a guy that international player, has been playing football his whole life, a program that you don't expect insane production specifically through the pass game all the time. So I don't blame you. Like, this is somebody that I think, once again, is he accepted Senior Bowl invite? I'm almost positive he is. Yeah, he is.
He's in one of them. Yeah, I couldn't remember which
Senior
one he was at,
Senior Bowl. So that's like another guy that people are going to be watching and see what he could do, not only in one-on-one passing situations, but how he looks in blocking and just out there, the movement skills at that size.
Somebody asked in the chat, like, oh, what's a team that could be interested in somebody like this? Maybe like the Jags. They've already kind of got that type of a player with Brenton Strange, and you're able to sort of develop him behind Brenton Strange. I think if you had 2 of those dudes that you felt pretty good about, throwing to those athletes who could block really well, I think that's a team that just immediately pops into my mind. Maybe even the Broncos as well, like Sean Payton really wanting to invest in an athlete type of a tight end joker position, like he said before. This could be a guy that you're drafting there, and maybe he fits that bill.
All right, let's. So he was 6 for you.
Yes.
Let's get back to the rankings, because we had a couple crossovers here after all those guys. We both had Stowers in this group, and we both had Joly in this group.
So I think those are the next 2 guys. So dealer's choice. Who you want to talk about next?
I'll take Joly. the man known as Big Christmas.
Okay, all right.
This is someone that over summer, Marvel, I agree.
He's mad that you didn't pick Eli Stowers. He's a big Eli Stowers guy, I guess.
There was so much to like when we watched him this summer, but you just had, like, I have him 6'2", 7'8", so he's 6'3". 250, but you're like, is he really 250? Am I falling for the Gadsden level, like, really good college receiving tight end, but is that just not going to work at the next level?
Right.
And man, I don't think it's that. I think he's
he plays too smart.
Right. He's smart. He's athletic. We talked about all the guys with short arms. He's almost got 33-inch arms, Justin Joly.
Yeah.
10
Tree
and a half
branches, one could say.
Right. 10.5-inch hands. Like he's got length. The hand size isn't surprising with his contested catch ability. You see the 96th percentile contested catch percentage. This is somebody that, did you classify him as a regular, a slot tight end? How'd you classify
Receiving
him?
tight end.
Receiving
yeah,
tight end. Yeah, and that's fair. But I will give, while the blocking is still a work in progress, and it's my biggest concern, there are moments that give me some hope here, especially depending on what scheme you run. Like, are you going to park him on the line of scrimmage and have him block a defensive end in a gap scheme that you should not?
Right.
But there's enough of it, like you said, IQ and the athleticism with size that, I mean, like, there's at least going to be something there, I think. But you're drafting him because of his pass catching skills.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
100%.
he caught 8 of his 14 contested catch opportunities this year, 11 of his 13 the year before. He's just got tremendous ball skills. He's already got a good catch radius, but he maximizes that catch radius. I love when they use him up the seam because he's got great acceleration that he can climb over the top of linebackers. He's not afraid to get hit from safeties coming downhill. And in the red zone, this guy's a weapon, like a real weapon. His mindset in the red zone that's like see ball, get ball, mine over the top of the defender's head. Separation percentage is high. That's not surprising. When you watch him, he could run by people. He's got some refinement in his routes. And he played more snaps in line this year than in the slot, which isn't going to carry over to the NFL, but at least he's they're trying to have him. He's gotten a lot bigger throughout college.
Dude, he was a former wide receiver.
And he was at UConn, right?
Yes, he was at UConn initially. He was a 2-star wide receiver. And he played at UConn for 2 years where he just played. He played as a rotational player really for those 2 years. And then he transferred to NC State and they're like, okay, well, we kind of want you to play tight end. So he put on
25, 30 pounds.
Yeah, something like that to be able to play tight end for them. So, but for him to, so you can kind of tell that with him having that extra weight on, like his game is a little bit different, but I don't think it translates into bad weight. I don't think he can get bigger for what you want him to do. This is as big as he's going to get. So whatever he weighs at the combine, like officially, whatever it is, like 245, 250, you can't be like, oh, let me throw a couple of extra pounds on Justin Joly and then I can put him on the line of scrimmage more. He's not going to be able to hold more weight. This is basically what you get. But for him to be a receiving tight end, I think you should be totally fine with that, given his tape.
Right. Now, like I said, the blocking is a big work in progress. So I'm not going to pretend that that's why you're drafting him. You're not. But, man, like, once again, this is... And you know what's weird? He doesn't generate a ton of yards after the catch per reception.
Mm-hmm.
He's got some ability after the catch, but you're almost expecting more because of the play style.
Yeah, it's funny. He's like a different athlete before and after the catch.
I'm confused.
I don't know. I don't really know why.
I'm like, God, watching you run a route and catch the ball is dynamite. And then that's kind of the play, which is, it's fine. It's enough. Here's the one thing I wrote down at the end where I'm like, this bothered me, but I still like him a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He was a total non-factor against Notre Dame and Miami this year. And like on the schedule, that's the 2 games I'd like to see him.
When were those games, though? Because I think the Miami game, if I remember correctly, the Miami game was the first game that he tried to come back from his quad strain.
Okay, well, that's a good note. That's a really good note. Notre Dame game was the second week of October. The Miami game was the second week in November. So it's definitely that definitely was the first game he's back from the quad strain.
Because I was gonna mention another reason why I really love Joly is I think that this is such a competitive football player. So yes, Miami was he played that Pittsburgh game, and the very last play of the Pittsburgh game, what I'm going to bring up, the reason why he's a competitive player, he is wide open for a touchdown. They throw him the football. He is sprinting to the end zone. You see him strain his quad, and he's got like 20 yards left before he gets in the end zone. Instead of falling down, he limps Madden Greg Jennings style, like holding his leg. He hops, limps, everything that he can to get into that end zone.
Yeah.
He scores the touchdown, and then his teammates help him as he limps and crawls to the sideline afterwards. That was the last play that he played in the Pittsburgh game. He missed the next week against Georgia Tech, and then that next week was Miami, and I still think that he was getting over that quad
Rushed
strain.
it back.
I think he was trying to play and wanted to come back.
That makes sense. That's good context specifically for the Miami game.
Yeah.
And I have heard from somebody that's worked on a staff that had him, like, all-world dude. So it doesn't surprise me to hear you not only see that on the field, but coaching, like, people love this guy. Like you said, the fact that he was willing to convert to tight end and put in the work to gain 25 pounds, it's Justin Joly. Typically not my kind of tight end. I'm a big fan.
Yep. I like him a lot, just for the same reasons that you did. And on top of all of that, I think that this is a ball player. I think he is competitively tough. I think he is so smart in how he wins. So good athlete, not the best blocker, but don't put him in those situations too many times. And I think you're really going to like what he could be to an offense. I just think he is a bigger type of receiver that you're going to lean on. And he wins with football IQ. He wins with leverage. He understands defenses, and he's competitive as hell, as we saw from that clip and others. So big fan of Justin Joly there. We both have him tight end 5. And then the last one here in our 4 through 8 before we get into our top 3s is Eli Stowers from Vanderbilt. I have him as tight end 4. You have him as tight end 7. So Stowers at Vanderbilt, really quick recap on sort of his background here. He's a redshirt senior this year. This was his last year of eligibility that he had. He's 6'3.5", 240 pounds. So he's not built like your typical tight end. And the reason why is because, well, quite frankly, he wasn't a tight end. He was a 4-star quarterback, actually, in the 2021 class.
That's right.
He was a 2-sport athlete, football and track, high jump, long jump, also competed in the relays. He won the Texas state title in the high jump. So this is a explosive type of athlete that we're talking about here. He committed to Texas A&M out of high school, spent 2 years at Texas A&M as a quarterback, played in just 5 games, so he didn't play a lot. Transferred to New Mexico State in 2023. And he battled for the quarterback spot at New Mexico State, won Diego Pavia.
That's amazing.
He lost the quarterback battle to Diego Pavia that year, but his coaches were like, hey, you're a hell of an athlete. Switch positions to tight end. We want to get you on the field. We want to play you. And so he switched to tight end, and him and Diego Pavia became one of the best 1-2 combinations in the country when they were at New Mexico State. Diego Pavia transfers over to Vanderbilt. Eli Stowers follows him over there. And for the last 2 years, they said, all right, now we're going to prove it in the SEC. And I think that they absolutely proved it in the SEC. He was number 15 on Bruce Feldman's freak list this summer. This is from that article. The 6'4", 235-pounder, former... I'm just going to laugh at pounder every time that I say it.
It'll never get old.
A former Texas 6A state high jump champion has elite wheels. He broad jumped 11 feet 3 inches this offseason to go along with a 39-inch vertical as a tight end. His top speed from the GPS in practice was 21.43 miles per hour. He also power cleaned over 360 pounds. Don't ask him to block in line. No reason to do that.
Nope.
But if
don't waste his time, don't waste yours.
But if you look at him as a 6'3.5", 240-pound versatile receiver, I think you're gonna love what you find. I wish the contested catch numbers were better from him. I really do, because I think a lot of what he does is going to be going over the middle as well. And so he's got to be better there. You see the contested catch numbers. It's just 20th percentile over the last 2 years. But incredibly natural hands, very explosive, elite route runner for the position. And he has, I think, the highest wins above average metric of any tight end in this class over the last 2 years, just because of how good of a receiver he is and how impactful he is in the passing game. So again, don't view him the way that you view other tight ends. View him more as a versatile receiver that you get to work with, and I think you're going to be super happy. I really do. It's Jonnu Smith.
That's what I was going to say. Just think Jonnu Smith, man.
Like Evan Ingram. Even though I think
Arthur Smith is just like
essentially,
he's drooling.
Absolutely.
He's drooling.
That's the type of player that we're talking about here. And Jonnu ended up going in the 3rd round. I think that's about the range that I would say for Eli Stowers as well. So I'm a big fan of him, and I think I have him higher because I'm prioritizing more of what he could do on a regular basis in the passing game for you.
All right, let's get into the top 3s.
All right. Wait, before we get in the top 3.
That's why I
paused. Sorry. Game plan of the week, folks. Game plan of the week.
There it is.
It's playoff week. Presented by Western and Southern Financial Group, a game plan for your financial future. Game plan of the week, I'm going to talk about the Los Angeles Rams. Running power, running duo, running up the middle between the tackles. More than any team in the NFL through the second half of the season. And they're better at it than every team in the NFL through the second half of the season. Last time they played the Carolina Panthers, turned the ball over a lot. Carolina had the ball in their possession. The way that you mitigate both of those things to make that not happen again is you run the football and you run it very effectively. I think that's the game plan of the week for the Rams to be able to do that and actually defeat the Carolina Panthers in Carolina this time and get a road win here in the playoffs. Just like every team win starts with a great game plan, your future should as well. With life insurance built like a championship roster, Western and Southern helps you protect your family so you can focus on winning, knowing that tomorrow is covered. Whether you're just starting out building your dynasty or looking to lock in long-term protection, their coverage options are designed to match your game plan. Visit westernsouthern.com/PFF to get your free life quote and start building your financial game plan today. Western and Southern, built to win, backed by over 130 years of helping people protect what matters most. By the way, guys, we're throwing a lot of PFF numbers at you here. If you want a PFF Plus subscription to see a lot of these, can't see all of them. Some of them are behind the scenes, NFL team, PFF employee exclusive stuff. But most of these numbers you can see for yourself with the PFF Plus subscription. Holiday 30 gets you 30% off. I think that promo code NFLSE also gets you a discount if you want to help out the program there. So if you don't have a PFF Plus subscription, there we go. That's an easy way to get it for a discounted amount. Top 3s.
Let's
do it. Who you got? 3, 2, 1.
Just all at once.
I think it's all at once.
There it is.
I think it's all at once. You got Eli Rariden at 2?
Yep. Buckle up. Squirt.
Oh my Lord.
Are you not entertained?
Did you watch Jack Endries?
Yeah, I did.
Holy cow. You didn't even talk about him.
No, I forgot. I did forget to talk about him.
I was going to say, you didn't even talk about him as a just missed your top 10 or 8.
No, he did. Also, though, I knew I didn't want to cut you short. Like, I knew he was going to be in your top 8. So I tried to guess players that were not going to be in your top 8 because that's not fun listening experience. And I did pretty good.
God.
But yeah. So Rariden's not in your top 8.
No, he just missed it.
And Endries is not in mine.
That's wild.
This is our R. Mason Thomas, David Bailey. We've had a lot of these.
We have had a couple of these. David Bailey, what you were right on. R. Mason Thomas, I was right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jack Endries is 3 for me. He's tied in 3 for me. Max Klare is 2, and then Kenyon Sadiq is 1.
I don't think it's egregious at all. Endries is good.
Wow.
But
I can't believe you don't have Endries top 8.
I can't believe you don't have Rariden.
Well, I'll tell you exactly why I don't have Rariden. After you talk about Rariden, because you like him a lot more. Talk about him as your tight end.
All right, so I'll jump to Rariden at tight end, too.
Yeah.
I think if Rariden, and this is a huge caveat, and it's a dangerous game to play.
I think if Rariden was simply more athletic, better as a blocker, and more impactful receiver, then I think, no, I'm just kidding. I'm just
didn't tear his ACL, right ACL twice in 10 months.
Not ideal, certainly.
Like, there's a world where I like him in my top 60 players, and he doesn't go to easily day 3 with awful medicals. I don't know. I have no idea.
Ooh,
But
the ultimate caveat.
holy smokes. You watch the tape and you're like, did Notre Dame forget sometimes that they had him?
I mean, he is a good player.
He didn't catch a touchdown this year.
No, he didn't.
He had 33 catches for 503 yards. 20 of those catches went for first downs. His dad, of course, played offensive line for Notre Dame in the early 2000s. There's that picture of him as like maybe a baby almost. His dad and Brady Quinn. You ever see that? It's really good.
I don't know if I have.
It's really good. But yeah, this guy was born to play Notre Dame football. This is the ideal build for an NFL tight end.
Yeah, he's huge.
He's huge. He's 6'7".
I was going to say, how tall is he?
He's 6'7", so he's probably what, 6'6.5".
Yeah.
250, getting bigger and stronger, very clearly. Once again, going back to, so he tore his right ACL twice in a 10-month span. He tore it right before getting to college and then 5 games into his college career for Notre Dame. But you watch this guy, he eats up zone with a high IQ. He knows how to attack zone coverage on tape. He's got these long strides that climb over linebackers. I'm surprised by the change of direction, like for that size. That to me stood out. 90th percentile yards per route run this year, 2.21. And it's not surprising when you watch the tape just how effective he is as a receiving tight end. He only had 5 contested opportunities, but he caught 4 of them. So what are we doing? CJ Carr? And the thing is, though, they had a lot of games this year after the tough start that they didn't even need to throw the ball. It was like, okay, Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price run up your stats as we kill this team. So, and he still had over 500 yards. 719 snaps on the line of scrimmage over the last 2 seasons. I think he's an adequate blocker right now, but I think he's tapping into becoming an above average blocker. Adequate right now, but the size and the developmental path to tap into more. It is bizarre he didn't catch a touchdown this year. There's no denying it. It is strange. It's not like he didn't never catch a touchdown in college, but he didn't catch a touchdown this year. I think the hands are average, but Eli Rariden, I just hate with the ACL caveat.
Sure.
Because I think he's really freaking good.
Yeah, I think that maintaining the blocks a little bit more at the next level, becoming a little bit more stronger of a blocker. I felt like there were times when guys were shedding his blocks a little bit quicker on a regular basis than you would expect. And I just think that him overall as a receiver, some of the nuance and the savviness wasn't exactly there. But like you mentioned, they didn't ask him to do it a ton. And when he was asked to do it and they relied on him and they threw him the football, he absolutely delivered. So he was truly like just outside of where my top 8 was. And actually, as I was doing this yesterday, before I watched Sam Roush, I think he might have actually been in it. So he was truly, I think of him right on that line of where I have my top 8s. But I didn't see him as super fluid of an athlete. Like
interesting. I thought the change of direction was pretty good.
Okay. All right. Maybe I got to go back and watch it a little bit more with that in mind. I think he's a good player. I think he's a fringe top 100 type of a guy. But I was just, I didn't see him as quite that type of an athlete. And I think that as a blocker, I mean, maybe he'd get better, of course, because like everybody can get better. It's so funny. Like there are sometimes players who like were not blocking tight ends at all whatsoever when they were in college. And then they get to the NFL and it's like, it becomes their calling card. Like that's how they get
you're like, when did this happen?
Exactly. And so like there's certainly a world where that happens. But man, tight end too.
Yeah, tight end
too. It's high praise.
Yeah. I would put him and Klare and Roush all in the same exact tier. Okay. From 2 to 4. And honestly, Joly's just so different, but in this, it's like, it's weird because number 1, I think is going to go in the top 20, 25 picks. And then I think it's just going to be a big 3rd round kind of class.
Yeah. So I'll talk about Jack Endries now because he's my tight end 3, and then we can mention that.
Ooh, I feel like he's not 6'1", 215. I just want to make sure nobody panics.
Oh shoot! Did I send 6'1"? Sorry, sorry, Tyler.
Trevor's not that insane. Everyone
6'1", 215. That would be light for a tight end. He is 6'4", 240 pounds. Is what he's officially listed at. So he's a redshirt junior from Texas.
Look at the chef. Live fixes.
Oh my goodness! What a king!
Mastermind.
Wow. Don't screenshot the first part, please. It never happened. 3-star tight end from California. Played both sides of the ball, played wide receiver, and he played linebacker in high school. Also played basketball and baseball. So he committed to Cal as a walk-on, funny enough, because he had some looks at other schools, but he really wanted to go to Cal. Cal was his dream school. He got offers to play at other universities, but he's like, nope, I'm walking on to Cal. So he walks on. He gets preferred walk-on spot at Cal. Very quickly, earns a scholarship. Played in redshirted the first year. Rotation the next year, started all 13 games in 2024, and then he transferred over to Texas in 2025. I actually think he was underutilized at Texas, and they were.
I thought so too, man.
For the first half of the season, Arch was going through a very spiritual journey that we didn't know that he was going to go on. But I think that was kind of at the expense of Endries being able to showcase what he was able to do. He's listed 6'4", 240, but man, I think that he looks and plays a little bit bigger than that. I don't think he's the most dominant blocker in the world.
So that was my concern.
So I don't think he's the most dominant blocker in the world, but I think he's more of a receiving tight end anyways.
Right.
So if you're telling me that you're not putting him straight on the line of scrimmage attached to the offensive tackle all the time, if you tell me that he's just, a wing back with step behind the line of scrimmage, or he's in the slot, I think he is perfectly adequate as a blocker. So I think this kind of comes down to what I believe I am asking him to do at the NFL level, which goes to what we said at the beginning of the podcast, where I think that tight end's the hardest position to evaluate. Of any position in scouting, I think that tight end is the most difficult. Because who you are, even at a moment in college, could be different the next year. It could be different your rookie year in the NFL. That could be different from year 4 in the NFL. And offense to offense, the game plan for you is so important to your success. Because as a overarching umbrella term as a tight end, you could be an X receiver. You could be an on the line of scrimmage inline blocker. You could be a wing back. You could be a fullback. You could be a slot receiver. You could be a move player. You could do all of these things. They could ask you to block 75% of the time. They could ask you to block 0% of the time. You have no idea. And we're all labeling these guys as one position. That's why I'm trying to break it up as much as I can, because there's just so much variation to how you use these guys. So that is why with Endries, I think for what you are going to ask him to be as a blocker, I think he's adequate. I think he's perfectly fine with it. And then as a receiver, I think he's got a tall, long frame. I think he's an above-average athlete. I think he's got long strides. I think he's really good in the vertical area to be able to get downfield. He's got experience in line, but he's also got plenty of experiences in the slot. I think he is very sure-handed. You see that contested catch percentage, 96th percentile over the last 2 years. Very natural pass catcher. A little bit stiff, but hey, he's 6'4", 240 pounds. So a lot of these guys are. You can't be comparing a lot of these dudes to how Justin Joly moves or how Eli Stowers moves. Yeah. It's going to be a little bit different. If he puts on a little bit more weight, if we get him closer to 250 and he still feels like the athlete
I don't see it.
You don't think he could put on more weight?
Not 250. I had him listed 236.
Oh, so you have him listed under
but that was from summer, so 250 I'd be really pleasantly surprised. This was my whole. This was my whole like.
I'm.
It's
cool
funny.
With him in his current state. By the way,
we're arguing over 2 players. He just accepted a Shrine invite. Both Rariden and him are going to be at Shrine. Not
nice.
Sooner, which is interesting to me. Good for Shrine. Yeah. I think both Rariden and Endries should be at senior. I mean, the games technically aren't tiered anymore, so they're competing for players, obviously. Mm-hmm. But I think Endries and Rariden, if you're going by the old school way of the Senior Bowl, typically gets the best guys. I'm very surprised by some of the players on the Senior Bowl roster and that neither of these guys were. I'll leave it at that.
I think that both. I think Jack Endries is a hell of a player.
Yeah,
I really think that he's fantastic, and I just think that he is just such a natural as a receiver. And as you could tell in my rankings, I got Justin Joly at 5. I got Eli Stowers at 4.
Right.
I have Jack Endries at 3. I got Max.
Yeah, I think you value that guy more than me.
100%. I value the receiving ability from tight ends, because if you have the ability to do it, yeah, there's like a blocking baseline a little bit, but again, there might not have to be from team to team. And if you can bring value as a receiver,
I think you got to block.
You could be such a mismatch player. You
can.
A mismatch player.
That's Joly to me. I think at some point though, man, you really got to have not only the ability to block, but the blocker. That's your detractor with him, where I'm not as low on Endries as a blocker as you are. I think it's just but it's more often than not such a big people position. And there'll be plenty of guys that are big and not effective at tight end in the NFL, but which is funny because Max Klare is my other guy we need to talk about, and he's not that big.
So, all right, let's talk about Max Klare. Let's move on to Max Klare. You have him as tight end 3. I have him as tight end 2.
Yeah.
We both had him unanimous tight end 1.
That's right.
Going into the season. Now, I think it is worth mentioning this because I want to hear you break him down first, but I think it is worth mentioning this. He is listed at 6'4", 240 pounds. When he was at Purdue, he was an unreal receiver. We talked about the movement skills, the route running, the short area quickness, a playmaker after the catch. And then I looked up his size at Purdue. Dude, he was like 225.
And I think 6'3". Do I have that right?
I can't remember what they had him listed at, but he was like 225, 230 when he was at Purdue. So now when you watch him at Ohio State, and the context of they have Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith, so they weren't going to throw him the ball anyways, but they had Max Klare blocking a ton, and you go, okay, hold on a second. You're a better blocker this year with Ohio State.
Yeah, he is.
But you're not the receiver you were at Purdue. It's important to remember, I think they slapped about 10, 15 pounds on this dude. And they're like, hey,
smacked it right on.
We need you. Yeah. We need you to be a better inline blocker for us. So the tight end that you and I evaluated over the summer, when you're fluctuating 10, 15 pounds like that, when you only weigh about 240 pounds, that's a major difference in how your body is able to move. So I just wanted to throw out that context for the people who have been listening to the show since this summer, knowing how high we were on him as a receiver and sort of what might have changed. But talk to me about Max Klare and what you've seen from him now at this point in time.
I said over summer, I thought this was Sam Laporta. That, like, right away, I was like, wow, this is a player that is built like him, plays like him. You see the agility in the routes, how to get on top of coverage, how to separate, seamless transition when he catches the ball, the running in the open field. That competitive nature on the line of scrimmage opened up so many opportunities. And Ohio State did do this with him for all the flaws that they didn't do with him, where he chips and he's a late release. And then it's like, you're just leaking out. You could use that with him. But
Jeremy said Sam LaPounder.
Sam LaPounder? Oh, man.
Fools, all of you. And
you're absolute fools. There's no doubt the production this year, the lack thereof, was disappointing. Now, there are plenty of instances on film that Sain just misses him. Like, he doesn't see him. And you could talk yourself into, like, Klare is still the same guy. The weight thing is a really good point out, Trevor. I think his long speed is mediocre. I do. I don't think he's going to run like some of these other guys.
I don't think he's a crazy explosive athlete,
no.
But I think he's a really nice all-around athlete.
Yeah, when you watch him work short to intermediate routes, you're like, okay.
He's awesome.
He's really, really awesome. Yes. So, and once again, he's not really a big tight end, but I love how he stays square as a blocker.
Yep.
in the zone game at split zone, I love what I see. Like if you're like, we're a zone heavy team, Max Klare can block in your scheme. Absolutely. If you need, once again, like Jackson Hawes on your offensive line, that's not smart to just think Max Klare is going to do that. But he maximizes his strength. That's what I like about Max Klare. He gets every ounce of strength out of his body by driving his legs, staying square, working through the frame. So that's why it wasn't a great year for Max Klare, but we didn't move off of him as much as people might expect from summer.
No. I think as funny as it is to say this, I think him going to Ohio State was actually the best thing for him, because very clearly now he is playing at a weight that is more sustainable to being able to be an impact player and get on the field at the NFL level. I also think they really improved his ability as a blocker. And is he good? Look, are you going to put him one-on-one with defensive ends on the backside? No, you're not. But like you mentioned, in space, as a lead blocker, as a split zone blocker, as somebody who is aligned in the slot and they're running a screen to the outside and then he gets to just block somebody in space. You mentioned how coordinated he is and how he gets guys between the shoulders in space. I love that from him. Some of the defensive ends that he has to block, are they stacking and shedding him and disengaging decently quickly? Yeah, but again, linebackers, safeties, corners, he's blocking these guys up pretty good. He's able to get some good leg drive and really displace these guys. So I actually think that this, for as much as he was not used as a receiver, was actually great in the long run for him. And so when I was watching him before at Purdue, I was like, damn, if he is adequately sized for an NFL tight end, this dude's moving insanely well. And then you find out, okay, he's operating at a little bit lighter of a weight, and now his profile's changed with him at Ohio State. I'm not as high on him as I was during the summer, but I do still think that this is a potential tight end one type of a player at the NFL level. Do I think that he could have been, like we talked about him a little bit during the summer. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but the way that he moved at Purdue,
I thought he'd be a first round pick coming out of summer.
You're like, okay, is this Colston Loveland again?
Yeah.
Like, is this who we're watching here? And no, he's not that player. But I do think that he could be a starting tight end at the NFL level. And I actually think that, funny enough, the lack of receiving production, but bolstering the blocking production really helped him out. And I think that he's still going to be a good player in the league.
Yeah.
Last guy?
Yeah, number one.
All right, Kenyon Sadiq.
Yeah.
The tight end from Oregon, 6'3", 250 pounds. A true junior technically does not have to be in this class. We assume that he is going to be, because if he is,
Kenyon Sadiq will be in this class.
Going to get drafted in the top 20.
Yes.
So
you heard it here first. Shocker.
Must credit the @NFL Stock Exchange podcast. 4-star athlete from Idaho. Played receiver and defensive back when he was in high school. 3 consecutive state championships from 2020, 2021, and 2022. Also participated in basketball, and no shock to watching him on the field and how athletic he is. He was also a track guy, 11:04 100-meter dash. Played in all 14 games in 2023, all 14 games in 2024, and then he has been a consistent starter for them this past season. He was number 11 on Bruce Feldman's freak list for 2025. Quote, he vertical jumped 41.5 inches this summer. Also power cleaned 365.
What's Idaho?
Bench pressed. Bench pressed 435 pounds. What do you mean, what's Idaho? What, you guys never had potatoes before?
Yeah, right. Get with it.
Come on. You guys never been on a proper bulk before? You got to be able to eat potatoes. They make you feel full.
Kenyon, Mr. Potato Head Sadiq. His daughter said.
So I think a lot of people look at Kenyon Sadiq, and it looks like he was built in a lab.
It really does.
Just like the way,
and he'll test that way.
And he will test that way as well. And yet, it felt disappointing this year, looking at some of the numbers that he had, looking at maybe a little bit of lack of production. Somebody in the chat, which, by the way, we're going to read the super chats after the show like we always do. Somebody was asking, like, hey, like, what's up with these tight ends not really producing the way that you want to at the college level? Does this mean that they all just stink? And I don't think that that's the case. But I think that it's going to be a long conversation about Sadiq, who I think he's tight end 1, but I am very open to admitting that is still him needing to grow into the impact player that you would want as a tight end 1. But what do you think about him as also your top ranked tight end for this class?
He's just such a dynamic athlete, and I like the mentality as a blocker. It's not that, once again, like it's how you use him as a blocker, right? When you turn on the tape. This is somebody, Trevor, that they've put in the backfield in a lead blocking kind of role before, or get him in motion and run like an end around or an outside zone kind of play, and he's out in front. But the reason you're drafting Kenyon Sadiq is you think he can be a mismatch weapon against linebackers and defensive backs, because no linebacker is going to be able to run with him. No linebacker. What if I said 4.45? You go over under on his 40.
4.45?
Yeah.
That's a good number.
Dude, I might take the under.
I probably over just because
40s, that's usually the safer play.
Yeah.
I think he's going to fly.
He's a hell of an athlete.
Crazy athlete. He did get a lot better this year. So many people are like acting disappointed with him. And if you watch Oregon's offense, that's not just to put on him all the time. It's not like he's Trey McBride at Colorado State where they're just going to throw him 150 targets. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So to me, he's getting bigger and stronger. You could play him at multiple alignments. He's a freak athlete. I like the trajectory the blocking is on. I think he's got the right demeanor. He blocks through the whistle. And you get him some manufactured touches. This dude is dangerous with the ball in his hands because he's got the jet fuel off those little tight end screens.
Yeah.
Or even they throw him true wide receiver screens. It's just the game is about mismatch players, and Kenyon Sadiq is a mismatch player.
I think that perfectly encapsulates it. I really do. He didn't have the production that I think that his athletic potential would have allowed him to have. I think that there are reasons for that. I thought he would be more productive this year. I thought they would lean into him a little bit more, but they keep him on the line of scrimmage because of how well he can block. And
that's like held. It feels like that's almost held against him.
Right.
Which is insane because all summer everybody's like, well, Kenyon Sadiq might not really be a real tight end. I don't know if he can block.
Right.
So which is it? I feel like people don't like Kenyon Sadiq.
I am very hesitant on him overall because I would have liked to see more from him this year. But he's too athletically talented to not draft in the top 20. The game is too built around mismatched players to take a player who is as gifted as he is and not draft him in the top 20, especially in this draft class. So like I look at little things, even as a blocker, as a receiver, where I'm looking for, I wish he was a little bit more creative after the catch. Even though his yards after catch stuff is good just because he's a really good athlete, I wish he was a little bit more creative. I wish he made you miss a little bit more for how athletic I know that he is. I wish that he maintained blocks a little bit better against defensive linemen. Now, he's a little bit lighter. You know, he's sitting around, well, I guess he's 250 pounds. So if he's legit 250 pounds, I wish that he would hold up a little bit better against some of those bigger defensive linemen. So, like, there's little things here and there. I wish that he would have been utilized a little bit more in the passing game, especially with a top 3 overall pick guy that you have at quarterback in Dante Moore.
Right.
But he's just too talented, in my opinion.
He's
just too talented. There are too many times where I watch him and I go, Vernon Davis. Who else are we comping him to?
It's hard.
The explosiveness, the overall athletic ability, the top speed, the burst, the contested catch stuff, who he is as a blocker, who Davis was early on in his NFL career. I don't think he's going to go 6 like Davis did in this draft, but
no.
Man,
we had him go like 26th in our mock draft.
There's just not a lot of players who possess the mismatch potential that he does. And I think in a game where finding those guys could sometimes make all the difference in the world to your offense, even if he's not quite a polished player, as a blocker or a receiver, he's good at both. But even if he's not as polished as you want him to be, you kind of take this guy and you just go, let's develop him as best that we can, because if we do, we're just going to get a special, special player.
Yeah. I don't think people always ask these questions naturally. I wouldn't have him over Warren or Loveland, but
I don't think I would have either.
I want to make that very clear. And I think that's always the easiest way to kind of bring context to what you think of the player. But it's a different tight end class, and it's a different draft class in terms of like the overall talent at the top. And I think Sadiq's going to, like you said top 20. We had him fall a little bit in our mock draft, but he's an undeniable first rounder.
Yeah, I think so. I think so too. All right, there we go. Let us know, folks. We would love to hear from you. Let us know what you thought on our tight end rankings that you guys can see there on the screen. Actually, I'll recap them for you. Number 8 for me, Josh Cuevas from Alabama. Number 7, Sam Roush from Stanford. Number 6, Marlin Klein from Michigan. Number 5, Justin Joly from NC State. Number 4, Eli Stowers from Vanderbilt. 3, Jack Endries from Texas. 2, Max Klare from Ohio State. And then number 1 is Kenyon Sadiq from Oregon.
Number 8, Carson Ryan from BYU. 7, Eli Stowers from Vanderbilt. 6, Dae'Quan Wright from Ole Miss. 5, Justin Joly from NC State. 4, Sam Roush from Stanford. 3, Max Klare from Ohio State. And 2, Eli Rariden from Notre Dame. Finally, number 1, just like you, Trev, Kenyon Sadiq from Oregon.
Actually, here's something good in the chat. Is Sadiq a better prospect than Mason Taylor or Harold Fannin? Prospect, yes. I would have put Sadiq over both of those guys.
He has a way higher ceiling, but understandably, he probably has a lower floor.
You know what's funny? I went back to watch Harold Fannin Jr. At Bowling Green recently because I had him like as a fringe top 100 player. Obviously,
I kind of sat on the fence with that one.
He's playing incredible for the Browns. He's more fluid in the NFL than he was at Bowling Green.
I agree, man. This is not Harold Fannin.
What worried me about Harold Fannin is that he was a receiving type of like X factor offensive weapon who I didn't love how he moved laterally.
I know.
So I don't love putting a guy in that spot if they're not agile. You get the Cleveland Browns, dude's agile. I don't know if he just started doing yoga a lot during the summer or he was just getting in the lab about it, but it's almost like Kyle Monungai. Like you and I liked Kyle Monungai. You liked him obviously a lot more than I did, but like I watch Kyle Monungai for the Bears now, and I'm like, dude, you got more juice now than you did at Rutgers.
Yeah.
I'm watching you outrun people in the NFL better than you did when you were at Rutgers.
It's less tired.
So players are allowed to change and things like that, but it was just funny. I remember going back to watch Harold Fannin for that specific reason because he had such an unbelievable rookie year, and I'm like, dude, if I were to evaluate Harold Fannin again right now from his Bowling Green tape, I was like, I'd probably have the same conclusion I did before the draft.
I don't have like a weird regret or anything.
No, he's just better. He just got better, and credit to him.
By the way, I've seen a lot of comments in the chat naming tight ends like Joe Royer and Tanner Koziel. And guys, this show will be on the feed after it's done.
Yes.
Start in the beginning. We talk about all of these guys. They weren't in the top 8s, but Trevor and I watched way more than just 8. We talk about there really hasn't been many tight ends mentioned in the chat that one of us hasn't watched. So if you want to hear more of those, you missed the beginning, we got you covered.
We're also going to read a bunch of the super chats here at the end of the show in the after the episode portion. If you're listening to this after, watching this after the fact and you miss it, we will have a recap video of all that good stuff that comes out on Friday. So you guys will be able to see it then. If you want to follow the show at NFLSC Show on all the social medias, I'm at Tampa Bay Trey. That's at Connor J. Rogers. Folks, the hats are back.
Oh, buddy.
The hats have landed. We got hats, baby. Now, I don't have them up on the Shopify link.
You can't have them.
Yeah, we have them.
They're
None
back.
of you can have them. So I don't have them up on there yet because I'm working with some logistics of people that will actually help me ship them out in a hopefully just as timely manner that happened last time, although we ordered double the hats, so hopefully they don't sell out as quickly as they did last time. Or honestly, I would love for them to sell out as quickly as they did last time. I don't know what I'm saying. A little bit of a different hat that we have this shipment, where the rope that's over the brim is neon green as well, so it's a little bit different of a hat than it was last time. So you guys will see that when we update the pictures, and you guys can see that there. But I promise we will let you know as soon as those bad boys are up and ready to purchase. Just want to say we have appreciated so much already y'all's willingness and desire to get some NFLSE merch, and we're just dipping our toe in the water with hats. But you guys have talked about like shirts and everything like that. Like, it means the world that y'all would spend your hard-earned money supporting this show, buying merch, things like that. It's just another really cool reminder of how lucky we are to have you guys as addicts and listeners and everything. So just always have gratitude when I think of that stuff. So we appreciate you guys. And the hats will be back soon.
At least to me, it's shocking how in demand our stuff is. And that's because we're just overwhelmed with appreciation.
Jared said Trevor's going to start next stream wearing every single hat at once. It's like Joey from Friends.
All 500 of them.
All 500 of them on the top of my head. All right, everybody. If you're watching this live, stick around for the after the episode portion of the show. We're going to run through a lot of your super chats that we did not get to. And if not, see you guys on Monday. For Tyler Cook, the chef behind the scenes, making it all happen. For Connor Rogers, I'm Trevor Sikkema saying thank you guys so much for watching this episode of the NFL Stock Exchange podcast. See you guys next week.